Hi, I'm Morgan Frisbee, a software engineer at Unify ID. Today, I'll show you the power of using Unify ID's push authentication service, PushAuth, to add a secure and user-friendly factor to your existing authentication system. Specifically, this workshop demonstrates how you can use PushAuth as a second factor of authentication when logging in to a website. To do this, I'll run a local server to host a sample website, and then build a sample iOS app on my phone. The website will be used to register and log in as a user, and the app will handle the push notifications sent during the login process. Everything I'm showing today is covered in detail in the Power of PushAuth blog series, which you can find at the Unify ID blog at blog.unify.id. You can find the open source code in the repositories on our company GitHub at github.com/unifyid. The repos I'll be using today are PushAuth sample server reg and PushAuth sample app iOS reg. In addition to cloning those repos, you'll also need to visit our developer portal at developer.unify.id. This is where you can sign up to create an account, which allows you to access our developer dashboard and PushAuth APIs. This is the dashboard. You can see that I'm logged in with my account, and I've already created a project to use today. In the dashboard, you can create API and SDK keys, upload your Android and APNS push credentials, and enable trusted registration for your project by setting a target URL. Trusted registration is the process of pairing your phone to your user. After signing up with a username and password, you need to configure the app on your phone to receive notifications for your user during login attempts. The server generates a unique pairing code and displays it on the website at the end of user registration. Then, as a new user, you need to enter that code during your app setup on your phone in order for your device to be trusted. This protects against attackers being able to configure the app on their phone for other users and fraudulently respond to those push notifications. To set up trusted registration, you need a target URL for the webhook. The server needs to be publicly available, so I'll be using ngrok to expose our sample Rails server. So it's forwarding this URL to our local server, and I'll set that as the base URL. And then I need to append user's trust to the path, because that's the endpoint in our project that handles webhook requests and has the verification logic. You'll also see that enabling trusted registration for your project generates a username and a password. These are used for HTTP basic authentication in those webhook requests. If you want to learn more about trusted device registration and how it's implemented in our sample project, check out our posts in the blog series. Now let's move on to running this web server. There are detailed instructions on how to run the server in our post titled How to Implement PushAuth Web Server, and I'll be going through the steps here. So you can see I have cloned the repo and installed all of the project dependencies, and the next step is to initialize the database, which is where we store the users. Now we need to edit the credentials file to store our credentials for the project, and I'll do that using Vim as my editor. So the credentials that you need to enter are the server API key, basic username, and basic password, which are all generated from the project dashboard. Now that those are stored, we're ready to run the server. All right, so it's running. Let's go check out the sample website in our browser. All right, here it is. And let's start by signing up as a user. I'll set my username as Morgan. And you can see that I've successfully registered as a user in the website. And it's now instructing us to enter my username and pairing code in the app. So let's move on to building the sample iOS app. We have another post in the blog series that details all of the instructions necessary for setting up this app. And that post is named How to Implement PushAuth iOS Mobile App. So I've already cloned the repo, set up the project settings in Xcode, and uploaded my APNS push credentials to the project dashboard. So I'm ready to build the app in Xcode and then have the app install on my phone. All right, so now we need to configure the app settings on the phone. So I'll do that by tapping the gear icon in the top right. So I'll paste in the SDK key value from the dashboard, my username, and then we need that pairing code from the website. That's 9877. So I'll confirm those values and then enable push notifications for the app. And now you can see that the app is waiting for push auth requests. All right, now that we're back in the sample website, let's try logging in. I'll enter my username and password and then click login. And then you can see over here in the app, we get that login request. And notice that you see the loopback address here in the push notification itself. The notifications show the IP address of the login request, and that just provides more context around where the login attempt is coming from. So this time, let's click decline and see what happens. You can see here in the website, it does not let me log in, and it says something went wrong with the request. So let's try that again, and then this time we'll approve the request. So I'll click accept. And then over here in our website, we'll see that I have successfully logged in for the user Morgan. That's it. Thanks for joining me for this workshop. To recap, today we leveraged the power of PushAuth to add a factor of authentication in a website login flow. Doing this adds security to the authentication flow in a user-friendly and low-friction manner. To learn more about Unify ID and our products, visit our developer portal at developer.unify.id. If you have any questions, please reach out to us from the contact page of our website at unify.id. And remember, you can sign up for PushAuth and start building for free. See you next time.
Hi, I'm John Whaley. If you like that video, click below to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the Unify ID developer playlist for more.